Greetings. Welcome to the fourth week of the new edition of Tropical Beat. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing as well as we are.
Yes, but you said Tropical Beat. This is Conversations with Ed.
Well, you know
what? The name of the show.
No, you know what? I have Tropical Beat on my mind.
And beside you.
And beside me, yeah.
Right,
because a lot of you, I don't know about a lot, but some of you might not realize, I always introduce her as my wife. I always talk, and she is my wife, and we're going to talk about that tonight too. But I never introduce her by her other nom de guerre. Mona, this is Mona from Tropical Beat.
Greetings, and welcome to Conversations with Ed. But what we're going to do, we've been asked to do a documentary on, not us, but a documentary is going to be done on Tropical Beat. So I've had to provide a whole bunch of pictures and questions and footage and so forth. And I don't want to miss out on a whole lot. So I'm actually substituting for somebody else on Ed's show tonight. But he's telling. But I was going to come next week, so we just switching places. But anyway, I want to know from you. I would like to know what you would like to see on the documentary. I know it started on WKIE right here in Richmond, Virginia, on the radio. And some of my friends from Jamaica came over and did a show, and that was Tommy Cowan and Marcia Griffiths with the Electric Slide, and Freddie McGregor.
Wait a minute. Some of you, in fact, maybe a lot of you, don't know what Tropical Beat is, was, is, will be. It was a TV show that was ahead of its time, number one, because it had a black female for a host, and it was international. Charlene lived in Jamaica for 10 years. She had a restaurant that she started while her first husband, was finishing up his medical degree. And the restaurant became very popular, a hangout spot for the musicians, and reggae was just getting started then, and the entertainers were coming from all over the world, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, all of those kind of guys who had that kind of head, because
Roberta Flack,
there you go, came to her restaurant, and she got to meet them and got to socialize with them. Then the stars started coming down, and she got to be a person. And wait a minute, okay. I'm telling this story, girl. This is my show.
This is you can tell me to shut up here, right? It's this show. Okay, Edward.
But she started this show because reggae was becoming a very big item, but it was not being shown anywhere. You couldn't turn on a TV in the United States and see any reggae because people really didn't know what it was, didn't understand it, but the word was starting to get out. And she put that show together and started getting the entertainers, the stars in Jamaica, and broadcasting them on broadcast networks in the United States. Right?
Can I add something?
Yes.
Finally, Tropical Beat actually started right here at Comcast on Channel 7. It was Channel 7 then. And it was really popular. I remember Shinehead had a song, a video, and some others. It was a half an hour show then. And some people started seeing it that lived in other places. So it bicycled. Next thing I know, I'm getting a call from WHMM, which is WHUT, Howard University show now, station. They wanted to air it, and somebody heard it in Philadelphia, and their station wanted to air it. So it just became popular, really, without us putting any money behind it.
And
what? That's how it got started. So anyway, we one of the first live shows I did was in Jamaica, West Indies, because I lived there. I knew Bob Marley, I knew Peter Tosh, I knew all those guys from the cafe, the Atique. They used to come there all the time, and they would say that they would call me Miss Doc. You're the only one that would tell us anything. So when they bring their music to me and ask me how I like it, and I would say yes or no, and then I would chastise them because I said, look at you, you've been here all day sitting down talking. Where's your wife? Your wife's at home cooking and cleaning. Why don't you bring her by? No, sis, she's supposed to stay home and cook and clean. I said, that's not going to work here. So we had that kind of rapport. And when I finally moved back to Richmond and ended up working with WKIE, and I decided they needed some reggae. And the owners of the station had a fit, but I was a general manager then, so I kind of had my way. Mm-hmm. And Tommy Cowan came over, and Marcia Griffiths had that big hit with the Electric Slide. Freddie McGregor and some others came over, and then all of a sudden it was popular.
Yes. Now, I've done a lot of things, but this particular thing that I did, I'm kind of proud of. I used to do promotions. And I worked with Al Roker's cousin, Rennie Roker. Rennie Roker was actually the first African-American on television in the United States. If you remember Gomer Pyle.
He sure was.
Yeah, Gomer Pyle, the motorcycle guys. Forget the name of that show.
The Cops.
Chips.
Yeah, Chips.
California Highway Patrol or whatever. And a couple other TV shows. But he was also a promoter. His brother was one of the original singers, and some of you young people that are looking at this hopefully won't recognize the name of the groups that I'm saying, but your parents will. There was a group called the Heartbeats, and they made some really beautiful songs. And Rennie's brother Wally was the voice for the Heartbeats.
I don't know the Heartbeats.
You're 1,000 miles away.
I know that song. Okay.
And Rennie and I got together and we became partners. And I used to work with him producing shows, and we produced a show in Nassau, Bahamas called the World Music Festival. That was in 1997, and it was the largest show that they ever had there. And they had more people come. The only thing that beat them as far as the casino drop, the hotel bookings, was our wedding.
Yeah, we had a large crowd at our wedding.
And Charlene, during that time, I also did a lot of other things for corporations and whatnot. One of the corporations being the United States government. And NABOB, I think that was the name of it, was just getting started. And they had a big meeting going in Mexico City, and I was asked to go there and be a representative for the United States. I was the black guy.
I was going to say that. I was thinking.
Well, no, that was it, and I didn't mind.
No.
And I went, and they flew me into Mexico City. I did the thing for 2 or 3 days, and the show was starting that Saturday. They flew me from Mexico City to Miami, changed planes, got on a small plane that used to be Bahamas Air.
Or Eastern Eagles.
We used to fly from Miami to Nassau, Bahamas. I got on the plane, and I sat down next to this older Jewish gentleman, and there was a group of folks in the back laughing and joking and just having a great time. And they did that all the way to Nassau, and the guy sitting next to me was smiling, and me and him were conversating. I had no problem talking to people. And finally he said, "You don't remember me, do you?" And I said, "No, honestly, I don't remember you." He said, "I haven't seen you since you were 14 years old." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Did you know Bud Johnson?" I said, "Yes, I know Bud Johnson well. He's like my other godfather." He said, "Well, your dad was playing poker with Bud Johnson, and you and Bud's son were having a great time running around in that beautiful house that they had out there." He said, and he told me his name and everything. And the group that was in the back was just laughing all the way because they were having so much fun.
And it's only like a 45-minute ride. It was short from Miami.
Got there, we landed, and somebody got on the plane and said, "Could you all wait on the plane? We want to do a photo and television with the singer.
He was there with Nancy Wilson and somebody else, one of these gospel singers, I can't remember.
Jermaine Hawkins.
Jermaine Hawkins. Okay.
And they wanted to interview them as they came off of the plane. And they went off of the plane. This group got up, said, well, it starts too. We're going to go. They didn't wait. They just went off.
Well, we were camera people. We were part of the crew.
But that was the first time I personally saw this group, Tropical Beat. Then we had to do the radio interviews, and they took us to the radio station, and it was the same group, Tropical Beat. I met her. We never had a chance to really conversate. But later on, the show was fantastic, really successful. I went back to New York. I don't know where you went, but
I probably stayed in the Bahamas longer. That's my place.
I was doing my promotion thing, and I was introduced to the director for the African Travel Association, and we bonded. Young older woman, and she said, you know, you're my guru, Ed. You're going to be my guru. I need a camera crew to come film African Travel Association. We do an annual trip to a different country every year, and this year we're going to Benin. And I'm saying Benin. I never even heard of Benin, but I would not let her know that. I said, yeah, I think I could set that up. So I asked Rennie. I said, I need a camera crew. Tell me where to find a camera crew. He said, call Charlene. And I said, Charlene. He said, you met her in Nassau in the Bahamas with Tropical Beat. I said, oh, okay. I got the phone number. I called Charlene. I said, I have to do a shoot in West Africa, and I'm told that your camera crew might be the crew to hire.
The best.
And that's what she said, the best. I said, well, how much would you charge me to do that? And she said, where are you going? I said, Benin, West Africa. She said, well, you won't have to pay me at all if you pay for our, meaning our crew, our airfare, and take care of our hotel and meals. We could do Tropical Beat there, and we'll work it out together. I said, deal. I said, well, I'll send you your tickets. She said, send me the confirmations. I did. She said, how will I know you? I said, well, how will we meet? I said, well, I'll meet you at the airport. She said, how will I know you? She said, you'll know me. I'm the guy with the hat.
That's what he told me. He gave it an African name, and I didn't know what the heck it meant.
It's a kufi. Right? When people, I don't know about people, but I wore, and I still wear, a kufi. Mine is leather with the seeds and the shells around it. I said, you'll know who I am. And again, when I walked in to the airport, I went back to where our place was, and she got up and she walked over and she said, hi, I'm Charlene. I said, and she said, you're the man with the hat. And the funny thing is, that's what all of the entertainer, especially the women, called me the man with the hat. Okay, all of them. And I'm talking like Nancy Wilson. I mean, just a bunch. We were in that kind of thing.
And this is supposed to be about Tropical Beat.
Oh, I'm getting there. Yeah, I'm getting there. Well, we flew, Charlene and I talked all the way across the Atlantic. Literally, all the way across the Atlantic. And we got to Benin. We did Tropical Beat, and just so as an aside, Benin is where the story, The Woman King, came from. It's actually based on a true story.
It used to be called The Homie.
The Homie. That's all another story. I'll tell that.
And Angelique Kidjo is from there.
Yeah, and yes, she is. That's right. And that's another friend, Angelique Kidjo. But anyhow, when we came back, got back to the States, Charlene and I started doing business together. And she'd come up to New York or to New Jersey, and we go and we meet business people. And
this guy's a great salesman.
Huh.
He brought a lot of money to Tropical Beat with Western Union.
Yeah, and we did.
Yeah, he was selling. I said, he doesn't even know what the show is about. He's just selling.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. How much do you want? It's okay. I'm having fun.
Yeah, well, it was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Now, as an aside, Charlene's husband and her were separated.
We were divorced.
We were divorced, all right. I was very much married, 32 years married, and my wife was sick.
But you were separated too when I met you.
No.
You weren't? You lied?
No, I didn't lie. I wasn't separated.
Okay.
You came up there and met my wife.
I did in the hospital, I did.
Well, she was sick. She was in the hospital. She had lungs. That's a whole nother story. But we started doing business together, Charlene and I.
And that was all, just business.
Yes, that's right. And one thing led to another. And my wife died. My first wife died, broke my heart. And
Good, we're changing the subject. You know how to answer it?
I'm gonna
Pick it up.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hey, Bobby.
Hey, how you doing, Kyle?
I'm good.
All right, what's going on? You got a question for us?
For Tropical
You
Beat.
have a question for me? I want to hear about Tropical Beat.
Okay, we're getting there.
You know,
Yep, we're getting there.
you know, your mother, Tandy, has done some shows. She only did maybe 10 different shows over the years or less. But everywhere I go, people want to ask me, where's that pretty daughter of yours that did Tropical Beat? Some of them didn't even know it was my daughter. She made such a hit. She just loved the camera. She's been on the camera off and on since she's about 7 years old. So we were talking about her. And I was trying to get you down here because when Dia was your age, your Uncle Dia was your age, he learned how to shoot a camera right here at Comcast. Isn't that amazing?
I want to learn how to shoot a camera.
Well, you can. You're in the right group.
Yeah. He started off here, and then when I edited at a really fancy studio. So they showed him all the equipment and how to work it so that he wouldn't break it. Okay? He was like your little cousin's Eli.
What was the question that you had? Did you have a specific question for Tropical Beat?
I didn't have a specific question. I came to hearing that pretty much. But that's all I just wanted to say. I'm proud of y'all. I'm glad y'all bringing back the show.
Well, that's nice, Kyle, and I appreciate you calling.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. That's very nice.
Very nice. Well,
14-year-old A student,
a student,
grandson, with a terrific sense of humor.
one of 5 grandsons, and there's also 5 granddaughters. But, as I was saying, Charlene and I started traveling together as friends, and a relationship developed. It did develop. And
After 5 years.
after 5 years, we wound up getting married. Yeah, I proposed to her.
We proposed to each
Each
other
other.
at a whining show.
Yeah.
When BB was singing Love and Friendship. I found love, I found friendship.
And she
something like
had
that.
tears in her eyes. The song is beautiful.
Yeah.
And I said, what's the matter? You're crying.
Don't
She
even tell
I
her.
want to get
Girl,
married. I
stop
said, okay. but anyhow, then we started traveling really together and doing the islands and whatnot. And the show got bigger and bigger. And we went from one broadcast.
But you know what I think they would like to hear?
What?
When we were here, we still started talking, because that's all we do is talk all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the cameramen in the station said, you guys need to talk about some of these things you've done. And I think they would like to hear. We've had adventures in every single country. I mean, adventures, hair-raising adventures. Like in Ghana, with the king of the Rastas, and he had hair from here to the other side of the library.
Six women
Carrying his hair.
That's how long his hair was.
And then there was a time, well, it's legal now, so you can smoke whatever. And he and one of the cameramen were having fun, and out of the bushes came all of these policemen. I said, oh my, I didn't even, because I wasn't doing any of that. Oh, good, here comes another call. See if that's it. Is it? Hello?
Hello?
That's not it.
Goodbye.
Anyway, they came out of the bushes. I mean, they were there all the time. We couldn't see them. They were camouflaged, and they just stood up.
Soldiers.
And they said, "What are you doing?" And Ed looked at them, and he says, "We."
He said, is that marijuana you're smoking? I said, yes, as a matter of fact, it is. He said, who told you that you could do that? I said, well, there's a gentleman down there who gave this to me, and I thought that it was okay. He said, well, it's illegal in Ghana. And I said, oh, I didn't know that. And as I was saying that, the Rastas were literally marching up.
And there were hundreds of them. Hundreds of them.
And they came and they tore, I mean, they didn't fight, but they verbally ran the police away. They said, "What do you know? You're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be around us. Get away from us." The whole bit. But anyhow,
And you are embarrassing our company. That's what they said.
well, while the next part of that story is the audience, there was about 15,000 people.
Oh, it was huge.
They loved Tropical Beat. Tropical Beat was very popular in West Africa. And they wanted Charlene Mona on stage, and they were calling, come on up, Mona, come on up.
They wanted to MC. I had to MC this whole show. I didn't speak the language, and they said it didn't matter. And I wanted to know where's my contract because it was being broadcast all over West Africa.
She didn't know that it was being broadcast.
But when I found out it was that, then I said, "Oh, I can do it."
Yeah, broadcast all over West
So I
Africa.
had a band playing behind me, and I'm moving to the music, and they're singing. I don't know what the heck they're singing, but I was still moving. Then all of a sudden, they wanted me to sing.
Said, sing.
So I said, "Well, I don't really sing." No, I didn't say that.
No, he said,
I said,
"What
"Okay,
should
what
I
will I
sing
sing?"
to me?" I said, "Sing anything." She said, "I love you."
And I started singing. I was making up another tropical beat song, and they could play that music, and they were playing, and we must show that because we never made a show out of that. And then they kept playing, and I mean, there were thousands of people there, and I was just envisioning all the people on the television stations all over West Africa. So I said, well, I could pretend to be Whitney Houston maybe, with no voice really. And then I started saying, I love you, and I'm singing and throwing kisses.
And she was
one of my sons was one of the cameramen, and he was almost on the ground laughing because he said I was a complete...
She didn't realize how far it was being broadcast. And when she asked, "Where is this being broadcast?" And the manager said, "Oh, it's being broadcast all over West Africa."
That's when I started having fun. I said, well, I don't know anybody.
It was good. But anyhow, that was one adventure.
And another one, can I go on?
Yeah.
The same time, we were in London. Tropical Beat was a big hit over in London because they have so many Jamaicans over there. So we fly over there maybe every 3 or 4 months. So we were over there, and we were getting ready to come. I had just done a tour of all the radio stations, and we had a nightclub tour to do. But anyway, we couldn't come there without going to, what's it called, Harrods or something, a big store. And my daughter, she just loves to shop anyway. So
Still does.
Still does. So she said, well, Mom, I have to change my clothes. I said, no, nobody's going to know us over here. We can go in the store and just get something reasonable and come on out. Went in the store, man, the people knew Mona and Tropical Beat. I could not, I was almost embarrassed, but I really wasn't. I was happy they knew us. So we picked up a few things and came out, and
That was her nom de guerre. Mona, she's Mona from Tropical Beat. Hi, I'm Mona, and this week we're in
Swaziland.
Swaziland.
And that's another funny story. I mean, we've been to Swaziland with Tropical Beat. I love South Africa, which is part of South Africa. My favorite is Joburg, but your favorite is
Swaziland.
no, and it's another one. Cape Town.
Cape Town I like Cape Town, but I love Dubai.
Not Dubai.
What is
Dubai's
it?
in
That big city up by the Zululand on the
KwaZulu-Natal. KwaZulu-Natal.
Is that what it is? KwaZulu-Natal.
Dubai's over there in the
That's
east.
on the ocean.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
you talking
absolutely
about
beautiful.
seeing something absolutely
And the
beautiful.
Zulu Nation, oh my gosh! And they were we were there when they celebrated Shaka Khan. You hear me? Shaka Zulu. I'm talking about
It was
the
Shaka
artist.
Zulu, but yeah, we were doing a filming there, and it was actually historical because for those of you who remember any of the troubles in South Africa with apartheid and everything like that, you know that there were factions, and one of the factions was Buthelezi and the king of the Zulu Nation.
Mm-hmm.
And
they were brothers, or first cousins or something.
they were brothers.
And they are vicious. I mean, they don't play. They kill.
And we were there. In fact, there was one other camera group there, but our camera group was the one that was officially filming, and we need to show that also.
We captured
when they made peace. Buthelezi and King Goodwill Zwelithini made peace there. And the next day,
it was filled. Thousands of people now. We're just making it seem like it's a little bit, but it's thousands of people in an area like Browns Island, maybe.
Yeah, but the next day, the king's driver was driving us up to the reenactment of one of the great Zulu battles.
With the British?
No, not with the British. It was tribal.
I thought it was with the British.
I didn't know, but we were the only white people there. Look at me, our cameraman, Jim Porter, who was
the only
also
white person
one of my very, very best friends, was literally the only white person.
As he is on so many of our African
about
trips.
20,000 natives. And they do a whole reenactment, but what the thing is, we're driving, and it's a beautiful, I think it was a Lincoln Continental or whatever, but the driver's driving, and Charlene said, there's police up there, it's okay, he's doing
Slow down, because he's going about 110, mind you.
I mean, driving, and he drove, and the police put up his stop sign and went signal for him to come over, and then I guess he saw the plate, and he put it down, and he saluted.
I wonder who you are. Who are you?
And we were riding for about an hour. And I said, how much further do we have to go? And he said, I don't know. And as he said that, there was a fellow walking in all of his Zulu garb. He said, I'm going to stop and ask him. So he stopped the car and he got out and he went over. And he talked to the guy. He came back and he got back in the car. I said, so does he know where it is? He said, no, he does not know where it is, but he's going. So we kept going, and finally about another hour later, he came up over this mountain, and you looked down, and it was amazing to see literally thousands of native dress in their costumes or uniform. I don't even know what to call it.
They don't wear it every day. They were dressed like us.
It was for the ceremony.
It was for the ceremony. But it was so, so beautiful. And the people are so friendly. And they didn't know Tropical beat there for real. But they knew I was from somewhere else. And they saw the cameras. So I was asking them. They were having stick fights because they do stick fights a lot. And they let me have a stick fight with them. I said, now look, I'm your auntie, not your enemy, because those Zulus don't play. And they would laugh, and they'd come close, and then they'd back off.
Yeah, that was interesting. Well, our driver, when he got out of the car, I noticed that he had a pistol on his ankle. And I said, oh, you got something on your ankle, right? He said, yeah. I said, well, how come you have a pistol on your ankle and a pistol in a shoulder holster? He said, oh, it's Sunday. I always carry 2 guns on Sunday.
and then he started showing you some of the
martial arts.
Yeah.
And as you those of you who watched Tropical Beat, or maybe not Tropical
Conversations
Beat,
with Ed.
but Conversations with Ed, this show, you know that I kind of highlight martial artists. I've been in martial arts literally since I was 14 years old. So I do know a little bit about it. And I said to him, what do you guys, I see that you're into security, what do you guys do? And he started doing a form. And I said, okay, and we got out and we started going, and I was like, damn, amazing. I keep talking
tall, he's almost like a giant. Yeah, you talking to the phone, took on the cameras.
I said, where did you learn this? He said, oh, this is where it comes from. And I said, well, that's very interesting. So naturally I had to come home and do a little investigating. And there's some truth to that. That's a whole nother story. Mm-hmm. But anyhow, when we finished doing Cape Town and went to the island.
KwaZulu-Natal.
And we went to.
We've got so many years because we went to South Africa many times, we went to Ghana many times.
We went to South Africa to the island where they had Mandela.
Robins Island.
And
Robins Island.
We went there. The boat ride over there is phenomenal, and back. It's one of the roughest sea passages in the world. And we went across on the boat, we got off the boat, and we went and we walked, and we got a lecture as we were walking, and we came around, and there was this big valley, and we were told
And everything was white because there was salt. They had
lime.
Oh, it was lime. That's right. It was lime.
But it was a pit, a small pit, when the prisoners came, and they started them digging, and it wound up being a canyon, and in the canyon was a cave. The prisoners actually dug a cave, and I asked the instructor, what was that cave? Why did they build a cave? And he said, oh, we told the guards that it was so we could use, when we had to use the toilet, it would be in private, not out in the open. He said, but actually what it was a classroom. Mm-hmm. That's where Mandela had his classes on politics and on society for all of the newcomers coming in. And this guy was about 6'3" and must have weighed pretty close to 250 pounds. So, not fat, I mean a big, strong guy. Mm-hmm. And Charlene Mona said to him, you guys, you're all here, and you were here? And he said, yes.
He was a prisoner too.
I was a prisoner here. Yeah. And I said, well, what did you do? He said, oh, they stopped me on the highway. I had a truckload of guns. He said, so they locked me up. And Charlene said, well, why are you so happy? All of you seem to be so happy. And he said, oh, madame, we won. And it was something. Then they took us to the cell area where they kept the prisoners. And we were allowed to go into what was Mandela's
That's
cell.
Where you cried there.
I couldn't help it. I got into this cell. I mean, this was, we're sitting here in this, what Comcast has made into a studio. And it's not big, but it's big enough for what we're doing. The cell was about across this way and back here with a bed.
And a toilet.
And a toilet and a sink. And I was giving my talk about what these people went through with apartheid and everything else that has gone on in South Africa, Africa in general. I said, and here we are, our young men are out slinging drugs,
shooting each other, not going to school,
everything else terrible. They have a call. Hello, it's Conversations with Ed, and who do we have?
Did you cut it off?
Hello?
Hello? Oh, you cut it off. It was Catrice too. Hello?
No, it's good to call her back. Can you call her back? Call her. But anyhow, in telling that story and talking to our youth here, I literally broke down and started crying. I'm not a crybaby, okay? I mean, I've seen and done a lot of things in my life that would make people cry, but I, training and whatnot, I did not cry. But I started crying in that. And then we took the ride back. And that ride is one that's very memorial also. But anyhow, then we got a chance to kind of enjoy Cape Town. And when we got back up.
But I have to let you know too, when I went the first time, it was without Ed. And I was shown the country by Hugh Masekela and Lucky Dube and Welcome Msomi. And I met them all over here doing Tropical Beat. In fact, I met them at the Apollo. I'm putting you just called us, and we didn't know what button to push.
My house phone died, so I was ready to call y'all back on my cell phone.
Okay.
Just tuned into the show.
Well, how you doing?
If you turn your television down, we'll be able to hear you better. Okay.
There you go. Catrice?
Hello? I don't know what happened. Hello? Did you turn? Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Okay, you can talk. We are reminiscing about the Tropical Beat. We were talking about being in South Africa, but I have to tell, and different humorous situations we found ourselves in. But this young lady was a friend of my daughter's, and she's one of my children too, I'll say. And she went with us to Jamaica one time when we did a show maybe it was a Jamaican jazz show.
You go ahead.
Yes, it was a Jamaican jazz show.
And we had a lot of fun. Then one of the technicians just walked into the room. Is something wrong?
No, just if you keep the phone in front of the microphone, you'll get better sound.
Okay. He's telling me which way to hold the phone so that we can hear you. So you had a good time over there, didn't you?
I did. I enjoyed myself. It was much fun.
And a couple of the artists, the younger artists, fell in love with you in time, and they followed us all over the island until Ed had to speak to them and tell them they had to stop it.
I said, you gotta go, bro. It's been 2 days. It's long enough. So you take care, all right? We'll be seeing you.
Yes, it was. It's overextended stay.
Yeah, right. But the place that we stayed at,
It was very nice.
very nice. That was Charlene and I's second time there, and that's where the coffee comes from. The
Blue Mountain
Blue
Coffee.
Mountain Coffee. That's that resort that we stayed
No,
at.
not really. It comes up in the Blue Mountains.
No, but that's where the owners were. They kept the horses that we rode.
Oh.
Those were their horses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyway, Catrice, are you able to get the show where you're at?
Yeah, she was.
Yes, I'm tuning into the show. I can see it.
Okay. Are we making any sense?
Yes. I actually just tuned in, and yes, you are making sense.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, you keep watching, and if you think,
I will keep tuning in.
do you have a question for us?
Do you have a question? She can't hear.
She's gone.
Oh, she's gone. Okay.
Somebody
Let's
else
see.
is calling.
Yeah, I'm not. That's not. I don't know who that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at any rate, Charlene mentioned her friend Welcome in Sunday, and she had been telling me about Welcome for a couple of years. And she said, I just want you to meet him. When you meet him, you'll find out why I talk about him so much, and et cetera, right? And we get to the hotel, and we're walking in the lobby, and this tall gentleman is walking towards us with this big smile on his face. And Charlene, she says, oh, welcome, welcome. And he grabs it, he hugs, and he looks over her shoulder. He says, Ed, how are you? And Charlene said, you know it. I said, of course, I know Welcome. I've been doing Welcome for 20 years.
And Welcome's wife was Thule, and Thule was a star. She was Rafika in The Lion King,
And she sang that song.
and she sang that song when it opens up. And I don't remember how I got in touch with Thule, but somebody introduced me to Thule. Thule called. We became the best of friends.
Still are.
And we still are. And she gave me Welcome's number, and she said, well, when you go to South Africa, call my husband. And I did. And then he put me in touch with Miriam Makeba, and she's the one that named Tandy. Miriam was Kwame Ture's wife, and
Kwame Ture, they might not know who Kwame
yeah, that's Stokely Carmichael. They know who Kwame
Not
Ture is.
everybody.
And Hugh Master Kim, they used to own Ebony magazine, the South African version. So they took me into all the clubs, and the clubs were so beautiful there. You think you're in a mosque or something because it's so huge and beautiful. Now that's in Joburg. I love Joburg because I like the jazz there. Ed likes Cape Town the best. Which one do you like the best?
KwaZulu Natal.
KwaZulu Natal. Okay, that's where he got named. That's a whole nother story. We were seeing, Ed wasn't feeling so good, or maybe his skin was breaking out. And they have, I'm not going to call them witch doctors, they have Sangoma. They have healing people. They have medical doctors too, but they also have these healers. And there's another name for them. So we kept Sangoma. So we went there.
The king had us go there.
Yeah,
When we met the king that day before, and then he had his car the next day, drove us up to see her so that you could have your asthma treated.
yeah, my asthma was giving me a problem.
And you go in and it was a big hut, like a native kind of style.
But it was nice.
And you go inside and there was all kinds of plants and smoke was coming up, and there were a couple of different women in there, and the woman came over and she greeted us.
She asked me my name, and I said myself. That's another story how I got my name. My name is Tembega.
Tembega.
And she knew it means trustworthy because they say I always kept my word. I always kept my promises with what I was going to do when I came back, and I always did it. And she said, well, who are you? And
I said, Ed, and I haven't gotten my name yet. And she said, oh, it's my duty because the king named Charlene, and Tobago means trustworthy. And he said, you kept your word in everything that you do. He said, and you will get your name, right? And we went, and the woman took me, and she put her arms around me like that, and she stood back, and she said, your name is Sipo. And Charlene said, well, what does that mean? And she said, it means gift from God. And she said, oh no, you can't name it that. And the woman said, I have to. That is what the Spirit tells me. He is a gift from God.
well,
And I appreciated it.
but she also told me, and I've been told this in Jamaica and in Benin, that if I lived there, I would be one of them. I would be like her. She said, because you have the ability to heal too, and you have the ability to see in the future. And I know my daughter does because she can put her hands on you and you feel better. And I've been told that. And I know I can sometimes. Well, I know I can meet people, and I haven't been wrong yet.
No, you haven't been.
Yeah.
But that's we're kind of skimming over because South Africa was and is a really important part of our life because of the experiences that we were able to have over there and to make the friendship that we did. He's passed away now, the king of the Zulu nation.
Yeah, he's passed away.
We were on our next trip over, we were invited to his 62nd birthday party. And I got to tell you,
it's like going to the President of the United States birthday party.
Basically, that's what it is like, yes.
All the security and the metal detectors, but it's all out in the open.
Well, we were inside. Outside was the natives really having their thing. I got up and went out there and didn't want to come back inside.
Yeah, they were jamming.
Oh, it was fantastic.
But they have a really, what did one of those vice king, the big one said, we have a proper tea setting of, I can't remember exactly what they said, but it's first class dining inside, and the tents were made like hotels almost.
Like hotels, there you go.
They were really, really good. While we were I'm skipping all over the place, and I know you guys want to hear about Jamaica because everybody wants to hear about Jamaica, so we got to talk about Jamaica.
They want to hear about Jamaica.
Well, Bob Marley was a friend of mine, as was and is Rita Marley, and
all of the kids.
Yeah, the kids and everything. They've even come to our home in Richmond. But we were at a Sunsplash event.
You said come to our home. Which one was it that the album cover was shot in our front yard?
I can't remember. Kamani. Yeah.
Another side story.
Okay, so we were there at a Sunfest event. And the Marleys were there, and everybody was there. They had like a 4-day event. And they called Ed Wondred. They said because he has the rest of them going inside.
They call him Wondred. Him got the rest going on the inside. I'm trying to go in the back where the artists are at this big, huge event, and it's outside. And they have security. And the security guys is trying to keep me from going in. I said, but I'm allowed in. No spectators in the back. I said, I'm not a spectator. So, hey, it's official. It's a 100. That's a 100. He got 100. He got the rest going on the inside. Let him in. And I went inside, and they had a hut. And hanging from the ceiling were bundles of marijuana. And I said, what is that? So marijuana. You go reach up and get you some. I said, no, because I'm working. But we went in, and that's where Rita and Mother Marley and I became friends.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell that story.
Yeah,
she lived in Miami, and every year she had a birthday party for Bob, even though Bob had passed away. She continued to have the birthday party that day. Well, what's his name?
Which one?
The guy from Cheers.
I don't remember his name. I didn't know those guys' names. I never did.
I'm walking. He says, "Hey, come sit down." And I sat down. And if I say his name, you know exactly who I'm
No,
talking
you
about.
couldn't, because I never knew his name.
You didn't know his name?
I just
He was on
pretended.
Cheers. Him and Bill Maher are good friends.
Anyway, it was one of the white dudes there, and he was there. And,
He said, well, who would have thought of this? He said, look at this. I'm here every year because my birthday is the same day as Bob's. And his mom invites me every year. And I get to meet a guy like you, and here we are, we're sitting under a tree having a smoke and a beer. And it's fun, isn't it?
yeah, we met some really interesting.
Really. But back to Welcome Msombe in
I
South
wasn't
Africa.
finished with Jamaica.
Well, we left Welcome out. You got to tell me. You said I knew him. I knew Welcome for 20-something years.
Yeah, Welcome.
Welcome was the dance instructor when he was in New York doing apartheid. He was the dance instructor for the Dance Theater of Harlem. And I was the drummer for the Dance Theater of Harlem.
And Welcome was also a very talented writer. He wrote a South
African.
Yeah, the South African version of Macbeth. And his wife starred in it, and it was on Broadway for a couple of years, I believe.
Years, yeah.
And it's just a beautiful, beautiful production. We've just got so many things that we can do, but I need to know what you guys want to hear about or see in the production that they're going to do on Tropical Beat. We don't want to bore you, but there's so many exciting things, and so many things are legal now that weren't then. So I can show you some of what we did in the fields in Jamaica with the ganja people, with the Rastas.
And we were in the Turks and Caicos Islands.
Oh my God!
And
With Ziggy
Ziggy
Marley.
was coming in. And we were all at the airport waiting for him to come in. And a semi-riot started. And we were going, what's going on? And who's in charge? And we met the young man who was in charge, King Rasta.
No, it was Rat Man or something like that. R-A-T man.
He was in charge of the Rastas. And what's happening? He said, well, we want to, Ziggy's coming. He's our prince. And we want to meet him at the airplane. And they said, no, you can't go on the runway because it's too dangerous. What do they mean it's too dangerous? We know where to stand out the way. We want to meet our prince. And Charlene Mona said, it is kind of illegal to go to the runway because they don't want anybody to get hurt. Why don't you wait until Ziggy gets off of the plane, and then you can greet him here where everybody can see him and you can have a good time with him.
And they listened to me.
They listened to Mona.
It's
yes,
amazing how they listened to Mona.
Yes, they
Not
did.
Charlene, but Mona.
So then we go back to the hotel, and they had invited us to come to their village, and along with Ziggy and his group. Well, we went, we got down there, the guys are singing, and they're smoking, and there's reefers hanging from all over the place. And right across the street, Charlene's saying, you gotta watch out, you see the police, they're sitting in the car right over there. Okay, I'm sitting there, the cameraman and I, and we're being real gentlemen, and the police get out of the car, and they come across the street.
Rushing the place.
And they take off their shirts
Took them off.
and hung them up and got by the microphones and got their herb and started singing and
I
dancing.
couldn't believe it.
It was just amazing.
And then this was another one of Ed's friends, Nile Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
You see him on television. You see him-
Chic.
Yeah, he's done a lot. He's done a whole lot.
I knew now from the Cheetah.
He helped host Summer Tropical Beat.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, I had a couple of people helping me host Tropical Beat. I didn't know they were that famous until I came back to the States, and they said, how did you know this one? You know that one? And in fact, during one show, I had to ask Mark Anthony, well, who are you? I didn't know he was this big, and then the next day he performed, and I mean, there were thousands of people, but we were in Aruba then, and thousands of people were just dancing and swaying to his music, but I just did not know.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Very nice guy, very nice guy.
But she did Creole John was his name?
Huh?
The trumpet player. And he said, you're going to interview him? I said, but he can't talk. Charlene was saying she's got. I said he could play the hell out of the trumpet, but he can't talk.
I thought he was joking. I thought he meant he can't talk English. He can't speak English. But he didn't make any sense. And it's only, but see, my mind is so centered on getting a job done that I'm not really always listening to the person. So I'm talking and asking questions and just being vibrant, I thought. I got home in the studio and I'm saying, this doesn't make sense. What's he saying? It's told you he can't talk. Got crazy as heck. But anyway.
We did that. And then we were in Grenada and they were getting ready to have their festival and the tourism. He said, I'm trying to think of a name.
Yeah, we named it.
I said, you calling it the Grenada Jazz Festival. I mean, every island has a jazz festival. Why don't you make it a name that reflects Grenada? And he said, what should I name it? I said, name it the Grenada Spice Festival.
Uh-huh.
And they named it that. And the next thing you know, we're there and we're walking and a Latin group is getting ready to play. And I walk up and I said, how you doing, bro? He said, Pancho. She could never get over it. Well, now she's used to it. That I know so many people, but that's what happens when you're in the business.
In fact, one of our second overseas trip was to Cannes, France.
Cannes, France, yeah.
And I used to go all the time because we were getting ready to do a reggae festival over there. And I didn't know he was a Latin player. I didn't know that much about. I knew the one side of him. I didn't know the other side. So I said, you want to go? I'm getting ready to go to France next week. You want to come? And he said, yeah. I said, you can get your own ticket, whatever. And he did, and came right over there. And everybody knew him. What are those guys' names?
Fanny All Stars.
Yeah, the Fanny All Stars. They knew him, and the crazy ones.
George Clinton.
Yeah, George Clinton. They were there one night, and they knew him too. And I said, how do these guys know you? Who are you? Because everybody thought he was dead. So when somebody thinks you're dead, so many people think
I had
a second life. But we won't talk about that.
No, but I mean, playing the drums like I did and being all over. We played the band, Frank Abel, and that's who you hear me talk about, Frank Abel, quite a bit. But Frank had a band that was the most sampled band from the United States.
Yeah, all the rap stars
have sampled parts of his music.
But can I say something before? Because the show's about to be over.
Yeah, it is. That time
yeah,
so
we talk, and this is what we do at home all the time. We're talking.
It's nice when you love your wife.
And the same goes this way. But people ask me, what is the tropical beat? Why do I do the tropical beat? And I tell them, it might seem huge, but my goal is to unite the world through music. Music heals, it lifts you up, and you have to be really an awful person not to be able to relate to music. It doesn't have to be reggae or jazz or whatever, but I thought, as much as I love music, if I could bring some more music, a different music, into other people's lives, then we could learn to talk. And I saw this happen. We were in Tampa, Florida, I think, and we were in Benin with all the ministers of tourism. And we realized they didn't know each other. They did not know, their musicians from the prospective countries knew each other, but the presidents didn't know each other. And we were getting to meet so many of them and introduce them to each other, and that helped a whole lot. So I say tropical beat, to me, is important. I'm not done with it yet. I'm not going to travel all over the world like I used to.
We might, if it calms down. The COVID kind of put a stop on it, and then I had the brain surgery.
Well, that never stopped you.
No, it didn't.
No, brain surgery. The accident stopped him a little bit. It slowed him down a little bit, but he's got everything together now.
Yes,
and we just have to. We can go anywhere. We can go anywhere. We just don't need to go anywhere that has the electricity cut off all the time, right? Because he needs it to be charged.
The United States Army takes very good care of me, and I have a wife here who is not afraid to stand up and tell them, no, you're gonna save his life.
They were prepared to let him die. I said, not right now.
Yeah,
No.
they can save his life.
We're speaking life, not death. And he's been very protective of me too. When I used to travel without him, I would never take a drink. Never, ever, ever. If I took one, it might be one, and I was around somebody. And I still don't drink a lot, but
No, you don't.
I might take one drink. But once I was with him, I could kind of relax and know, well, I don't really have to look out for the crew. I've got somebody else looking out for the crew. Even though we were in South Africa, and he and the crew became too friendly, and I'm getting attacked by all these gazelles. These animals, big animals, are running down the hill protecting me. And I'm saying, Jim, and they up on the hill doing what they're not supposed to be doing. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But Tropical Beat has given me an opportunity to meet my husband. We've been together for over 25 years, over 27 years now.
27.
And given us an opportunity to meet a lot of leaders and a lot of people from different countries, and to spread a positive message of peace and love. And I think that's a good thing. So until next week, we want you to keep smiling, keep jamming, and tune in soon for Tropical Beat, because the documentary is coming up, and we thank you so
The
much.
documentary will probably not air for about 6 months because it's going to be very well done. There's a whole crew doing it. There's going to be a lot of promotion for it.
And it's going to be on national
and
TV.
It'll be on national TV. And we will also start doing the traveling again. Maybe not as far, like we will probably not be going with Tropical Beat back to West Africa. But we might.
And we did the first ad for Ghana Airways.
Yeah, right.
And man, we were traveling over there about every other week.
Ghana Airways, they had the best airline in the world. The pilots, the crew, everybody. It was outstanding. And on our last trip, they were having a party for us before we went back. And Charlene said, we better get going because we're going to miss the plane.
I mean, we were in somebody's palace, way away,
It was the president of the
drinking
airline.
champagne and whatever.
I said, you see, all the pilots are right there. This is the headquarters, the president of Ghana Air. This is our event, so we're not going to miss the plane.
And we didn't.
And
They
it's
held it.
really nice for those of you who haven't done it. Flying first class is really first class. They used to pay us with first class tickets, and we had a stack of first class tickets like this.
And they said, well, you can sell them and get your money. They didn't want to give us money. We didn't mind. We'd sell them. And plus, we like to fly. So we'd fly all over the place. But listen, thanks for watching. And Ed, thank you for having me and yourself.
Oh, well,
on the show.
I might have you back next week. I have one more show. Y'all take care out there. We got a serious show next week. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how you can help yourselves in the future. One of my very good friends is going to come on and talk about insurance. Might be boring, but it'll be very educational. Okay, with that being said, peace.